In a dense and lush green forest, there lived a cute little rabbit named Rohan with his 3 tiny children, Benny, Mickey, and Timmy. Their burrow was nestled under a high mound, covered with soft grass. Rohan was a hard-working and responsible rabbit who would go out every day in search of food for his children and return at night to tell them bedtime stories. One day, a terrifying storm hit the forest. Strong winds howled, lightning struck fiercely, and heavy rain poured down. Trees bent under the pressure, and the river's water level began to rise. The storm completely destroyed Rohan's beloved burrow. Helpless, he clutched his children tightly, trying to get through the dreadful night. The next morning, when the storm finally settled, Rohan made a decision. He would take his children to another forest where his sister, Mia Rabbit, lived, so they could stay safe with her until he built a new home. Rohan set off on a long journey with his children. The path was difficult. Muddy patches and fallen trees blocked the way. After a tiring journey, they finally reached the other forest. The sun was setting, and the light was fading. He reached his sister's house and knocked on the door, but there was no answer. A wise old owl, Grandpa Hoot, sitting nearby, informed him that Mia Rabbit had been away for 2 days. Rohan grew anxious. Spending the night in an unfamiliar forest could be dangerous. He searched for a safe place for his children, but suddenly, the rain started pouring down again. Time was running out. He quickly tried to find shelter under a large tree, but the ground was filling up with water. That's when he spotted a burrow nearby. It belonged to Felix the fox and his wife, Ruby. Rohan knocked on the door and pleaded, "I am stranded with my children in the storm. Can we please stay here for the night?" Felix the fox examined Rohan carefully and said, "Yes, but not for free. You must give us all of your food." Helpless, Rohan agreed and handed over all the food he had brought with him. That night, his children slept hungry, but at least they had a roof over their heads. The next morning, the rain continued relentlessly. Ruby, the fox's wife, said angrily, "Now that you have nothing left to give us, you must leave. Get out of my house immediately." Poor Rohan had no choice but to gather his children and leave in the pouring rain. The little ones, exhausted and shivering, soon fell sick. As he wandered, a kind-hearted deer, Aunt Grace, noticed them and said, "You seem to be in trouble. Come with me." Aunt Grace took them to her nest, provided them with a warm and dry place to rest, and treated them with her magical honey. That night, Rohan's children slept peacefully. But the real twist in the story came the next morning when Aunt Grace informed the king of the jungle, Leo the lion, about the injustice Felix the fox had done to Rohan. Hearing this, Leo became furious. He immediately marched to Felix's house and said sternly, "According to the laws of the jungle, no one should deceive or exploit those in need. You took food from a helpless father and left him and his children out in the cold. Now you must face the consequences." Leo ordered the fox to compensate Rohan by giving him the best food from his storage and to help build a new and stronger home for him. Felix and Ruby hung their heads in shame and, unwillingly, handed over their finest grains to Rohan. Once the house was built, all the animals of the jungle gathered to congratulate Rohan. But then, a new warning spread throughout the jungle. A bigger storm was coming. Now, the question was, were the animals ready for it? Leo gathered everyone and announced, "We must build strong shelters for all, so no animal is left homeless this time." Rohan shared his knowledge of sturdy wooden and stone houses, a technique he had learned from Aunt Grace. The jungle animals worked together, even Felix and Ruby contributed. The storm arrived, but this time, the animals were prepared. Their homes stood firm, and no one was left without shelter. This story teaches us that greed and selfishness only lead to harm, while kindness and generosity always bring goodness in return. True friends are those who help without expecting anything in return. Difficulties make us stronger, and every problem has a solution if we work hard. Justice and truth always prevail, and if we stand together, no storm can defeat us.